In this video, I'll be answering the question, why does my business need a CRM system? Hey, it's Tobey here from Training Business Pros. If you run a business, then you absolutely need to know and understand why a CRM system is great for your business. What is CRM? Customer Relationship Management. And it's software that essentially does a lot of things that you don't have time to do. In this video, I'm going to focus on 3 key areas that are super important to be able to automate in your business. Now, you may not have thought of possibly doing this, but I can tell you that once you see how effective it is, you will be doing it from this moment on. And in the end, stick around because I'm going to share with you 2 software choices that I have. One is self-hosted, the other one is third-party solution. Both of them are very good. They each have their pros and cons. And we're going to get you that information that you absolutely need. So we're going to get started momentarily. Okay, today we're answering the question, why does my business need a CRM system? Well, you need to be able to automate some tasks that you do not have time to do. Processes in your business that are important to the long-term health of your business and obviously to revenue, profit and loss, and basically growing your business. And make sure you stick around until the end because I'm going to share with you software that is going to help you do this type of automation. Okay, so I promised you that we were going to give you 3 specific ways that a CRM can absolutely help your business. And I'm going to go through these ways one by one. So let's start with number 1, and that is marketing. Marketing is one of those areas of your business that if you're not consistently doing something and you're relying on what you already have, then it's very difficult for a business to grow. So let's take a look at a quick example of a flowchart that I put together that a CRM can absolutely help you with. So the first thing is the prospect fills out a form on your website. Let's say you want to host a webinar and you want people to sign up for that webinar. So the prospect goes to the website and you can advertise this or you can promote it to your mailing list, whatever. Prospect fills out the form. Next, the CRM automatically sends them an email with a link to watch the webinar. Now, this is important because in that email, there are tracking links that the software puts in there to tell whether they actually click to go watch the webinar. If they don't, there's a delay timer that happens. It could be a few hours, a few days, and then it sends the email again. Now, if you have 1,000 people that you want to attend this webinar, you do not have time to check to whether people click the link, whether they watch the webinar, whatever it is. So that's the whole point of a CRM. Do this thing, and if the customer doesn't respond to that or the prospect doesn't respond, put in a delay timer and then send it again. Put in another delay timer, send it again. Then eventually the goal of that is to follow up until the prospect actually watches the webinar. Once they watch the webinar, that's the next goal. And then you need to automate what happens next. You can start sending them out emails to request a consult. In other words, here's a bunch of great information about our business that you can see in this webinar. And now if you want to talk to somebody, here's some links to go book a consult. And of course, if they don't book that consult, then you can obviously put them into short-term nurture, long-term nurture. What is nurture? Email communications. Here's some more information that can be helpful to you. Here's some statistical information that can help you make a decision on us or some other company in our industry. Just being super helpful with your CRM. So that's the number 1 thing you need to do with your CRM. Handle all of your automated marketing tasks. Let's move on to the next area. This is number 2. And now we're talking about sales. So anything post-marketing is we've already got the contact data, we've already communicated with them, we've already requested a bunch of things, but they haven't bought anything yet. So that's the whole point of a sales pipeline or sales funnel. The first level of that sales funnel could be the contacting stage, sending out automated emails for that person to actually book some time, whether it's in person, at their location, at your office, online, whatever. And then the next stage is the consulting stage. Once they've booked that time, You actually have to remind them about it and you have to do it. And that's what the contacting stage is about. Then you move on to the quoting stage. Let's say the customer agrees to receive a quote from you. Now you've got to write it up and you've got to send it out. You could send out a series of automated emails that say, here's your quote. Please click this link to go check it. If they don't click on the link, the software goes and sends it again. Then once you get done the quoting stage, if they accept it, that's great. Otherwise, you move them into the negotiation stage. And of course, there's some communications, some manual, some automated that can go on in that stage. And then finally, the won or lost stage. If you win the deal, then you move them into the next stage, which we'll talk about in a second. If you lose the deal, again, throw them back into long-term nurture and try to get another deal going. So as you can see by now, you don't have time to be creating these emails one by one, keeping track of spreadsheets. The software, that's its job. Its job is to never forget when you just simply don't have time to remember. Okay, so let's say you won the deal, and now the most underlooked area of using your CRM is what we call the fulfillment. And fulfillment stage is essentially when you're communicating with your already existing clients. They've purchased something and now you want to go through some communication to help onboard them, to help them understand how to use their product, to do training, all kinds of reasons to do fulfillment. So if you just sell them something and then you forget about them, the likelihood of them becoming a long-term client or a lifetime client decreases significantly. So now what you want to do is you want to start communicating with them. So one example of that, and I use this for a particular client, is they do it with their patients. So we did their marketing, we've done the sales, they've purchased, they've now become a patient of ours in our clinic. And now we have to deal with communication. One of the things that we do with this client is what we call the COVID intake questionnaire. In other words, a series of questions on whether they have COVID or not, or whether they're at risk or creating risk for other patients in our clinic. So what we do is we have a patient intake form that they fill out online, and we do that with a URL or a QR code, and they basically take a picture of it with their phone, and that's the patient intake form. And they fill that out either on their phone or on their desktop computer or however they decide to fill it out. And then if they pass, and this is really where the CRM comes in, because the CRM knows based on conditional logic whether the form was filled out correctly and the questions were answered correctly. That means if each of the questions are, have you traveled outside of Canada in the last 14 days? No. Have you had a runny nose in the last 14 days? No. So if the patient says yes, then they actually fail any of the questions. But if they pass all the questions, then what happens is the software automatically notifies them that they're okay to attend their appointment, but it also notifies the administration team saying this person passed their test, please admit them when they come to the clinic. Otherwise, if they fail any of the questions, then that's a different thing that the CRM has to handle. So what the CRM does is it notifies the client and says, hey, I'm sorry, you failed this test. Please contact our administration team for rebooking your appointment. And of course, during that phone conversation, perhaps the administration team can decide whether they're actually able. Maybe they mistakenly answered one of the questions incorrectly. So again, if you're not using a CRM for your business, then you need to understand the three main areas that it's good for: marketing, sales, and fulfillment. So if you've stuck around to this point, thanks so much. I promised you that I would share with you two pieces of software that I use with my clients. The first one is Groundhogg. You can find them at groundhogg.io. I'll post a link below. It works really well with WordPress. In fact, it's a plugin for WordPress. So if your website is WordPress, this is probably your first choice, and definitely clients, and definitely my main choice for most of my clients. And the next one is what we call Keap Max Classic, formerly known as INFUSIONSOFT. It is a third-party hosted CRM. I still have some clients using Keap Max Classic, and they love it. So Groundhogg and Keap Max Classic, those are your two CRM choices. Thanks for hanging out with me today. I appreciate your time. Thanks so much for watching. It's Paul Tobey here. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. When you do, it lets us know your level of interest and will help us create more content just like this for you and other people just like you. If you have any questions or comments about the content, please post them below and we'll be sure to get back to you. Thanks for your time.